Marcus is with you now in that room?
Yes, and I'm going to turn the phone over to Marcus so that he can tell all of you, so that he can tell you what it's been like for him today. There's nothing like the beauty and the courage of family. And it's been amazing to watch, today, to see Marcus, who has never missed one day of this trial. There's been, folks, 3 different trials now. This is the 3rd trial. And there's been all kind of appeals and, resentencing, motions for a new trial and everything. And I don't know if it's been 40 times, but he's been in court every single one of them. Had to travel to Atlanta for the, appeal of the hate crime. He's been here every single time and running his family business at the same time, and grieving and and suffering, but being there as a leader. And so, Marcus, today, here we go again, yet the 3rd trial. What did you think about what you've seen so far today?
Number one, we got to give all glory to God. And I got to thank God for my team that's been behind me day one. Miss Barbara, Daryl, they've been on this case with us day one. And they've been fighting with this family. And I thank God for them. It's been a long, hard road for us. And the day seemed like we killing them all again because we have to suffer all this pain one more time again. I'm just glad God made me a strong man to keep fighting for my son, because I'm going to tell you something. He was my hero. Ahmaud was mine. God gave him to me. And I'm going to fight for him till he get 100% justice, because he didn't supposed to die like that. He didn't supposed to die just because he was a black man and those 3 white men was on some hate. And you got this DA trying to cover it up. We ain't got to explain the wrong she done. The world see the wrong she done. It ain't only been a Ahmaud case she done a lot of wrong in. It's a bunch of more cases she did a lot of wrong in. And you got to understand, when people losing their life and this DA swear under the oath to protect all the people, it affects all of us. So all of us need to get involved and get this corrupt DA convicted. So it's all our problem. Ain't none of us safe till the law prevail. All right. Thank you.
And thank you so much for that, Marcus, because he's right on point. Barbara, I think it was Robert F. Kennedy, who was then the Attorney General for the United States, that said that whenever there's an injustice and there's somebody that's willing to stand up for it, like the Arbery family has stood up to Jackie Johnson, like the Arbery family has stood up to William Roddy Bryant, like the Arbery family has stood up to the McMichaels, to Travis McMichael, to Gregory McMichael. Although this is an isolated area that we're in here, Barbara, in Brunswick, Georgia, each time someone stands up for justice like that in an isolated area, it creates what Robert Kennedy called a ripple effect, a ripple of justice. And it's when this collective ripples of justice that occur across the country that creates the wave that Marcus is speaking of, when everybody will have justice that will be served. The Arbery family, Barbara, you've got to really take your hat off to them for standing up and creating this ripple of justice here in Brunswick, Georgia, which is now being heard and seen as a wave across this country for what has happened to Ahmaud. Would you agree with that, Barbara?
Yeah. And, I want to point out to people that there's a tendency for people to not see the fathers, right? Marcus has been so important because I work not only, with the Arbery family, but you, Daryl, know that we've worked with people all over the country who have had their family members slain by police, other hate crimes, and we have seen, so much. And I, work with the Say Her Name Coalition, with the African American Policy Forum, and so many families just splinter apart. they fall apart when this happens. It's so traumatic. It's so hard. And you give Wanda Cooper credit, give Marcus Arbery credit for, hanging in there. And, I have varied family members whose broken hearts, who have, who the trauma, they couldn't take it anymore. I have watched, people, just lose everything. And it is just so important for us to understand. I mean, Eric Gardner's son, his son died a couple weeks ago. And daughter, I mean, that kind of trauma, it's so hard. And so that's why I love Marcus so much, because he's held his family together, because there's love in this family for each other, because despite all this trauma, all this pain that they've had to go through, they've held together like their parents told them. The other person I wanted to bring in for this conversation, because when I'm talking about this family and how remarkable they are, we've been joined by Kimberly Cummings, who is one of the amazing aunts of Ahmaud Arbery. She has been, she's been such a force in this community. People don't understand that the reason why the Ahmaud slaying has affected this area, like I said, is actually defined this area, of Glenn County in Brunswick. What people don't understand, and I'm going to let Kim tell you some about how all these years she has been one of the mainstays of this community, working in the educational system for 40 years, training up all these children, black and white. And so people knew the quality of this family. They knew about Marcus doing all his incredible martial arts training, all of his work within the community. They knew who this family was. That's why it affects everybody. So I'm going to let Kim tell you what it's been like for her today, being here, watching all of these people, almost 15 witnesses, as we said, talking about, not witnesses, potential jurors, talking about, what they've heard, not heard, their emotions, their opinions. But it's been quite emotional. So, Kim, tell people what it's been like for you today at this courthouse.
Hello, everyone. It's been a quiet moment. I'm always one of those. I look behind the scenes of everything, but this tragedy really have touched a lot of people in this community because of me, of my education with children. Because when it first came out, they was like, Kim, you need to hurry up and do something to find out what's going on. And one of my coworkers came in one day from work when I was on my way to lunch. She said, Miss Kim, did you hear about the Satilla? Because you always want to hear about our kids. You always want to hear about our kids. And I said, yeah, what done happened? She said, you need to go find out. I said, well, then, what did you hear? She said, well, I heard about a shooting in Satilla. I said, did you sure you heard of the shooting in Satilla? She said, yes. I said, I got some people that I know out there and some kids I done taught out there, and I go in that area all the time because I clean up houses out there in that area for my boss. And they said, well, I think you need to follow up. So at the time, my daughter was working at the hospital, and I called her, and she said, my mama ain't nobody that we know of. I said, what? She said, I got to know somebody because I know all the kids in this community because I done dealt with a lot of it, somebody we know. So when I got the call back, I was on my lunch break, and they said, you might need to call some of your family to check. She said, I think it's somebody in your family. I said, no. Lord, I said, I don't think so. I said, I just can't see that. She said, just call around and keep asking. I had my lunch so tied up that day that I didn't know what to do. When I got the call back, my daughter called me. She said, Mama, they must be still got him dying on the ground or whatever. She said, 'cause they didn't bring him in the mortuary yet, because they'd have brought him in the mortuary, I would have seen him and called you. So my daughter called back. She said, well, Mama, it was Quez. I couldn't do nothing that day. I just felt down because these babies are just like mine. I don't care. They don't have to be my birth baby. They are my babies like they are mine that I birthed them. And when I heard about it was Quez, it threw me off the loop. I said, I cannot believe this, and because that's one of my good babies. I just saw him the other day and asked, what can Auntie buy you or get you? He said, Auntie, I don't need nothing. He said, well, you sure you don't need anything? This is the most worst tragedy that hit Glenn County that I will never forget. This is one of the worst things I will never forget. It's never healing behind this because you're going to always remember his name. Auntie, he always would have tell us how much he loved us. And he's very missed. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, Daryl. Wow. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's just powerful, Barbara. It's just, and this is the reason that we want America to pray for the Arbery family, to pray with the Arbery family, and to follow this case. Because, again, this is the Arbery family is simply showing folks the power of love and standing in that love for your loved one, and being certain that you're there for every step of the way for justice. And that's what, Kimberly Cummings Arbery is doing there today. That's why Diane Jackson Arbery is there. That's why Marcus is there. I mean, the family has just really circled around one another, and they want to be certain, Barbara, that justice is being served. And this is what we're calling 100% justice, because we've had the conviction for William Roddy Bryant, we've had the conviction for the McMichaels, for Gregory McMichael, the father, who was also an investigator with Jackie Johnson, who's the prosecutor that's on trial today, as well as the conviction for Travis McMichael, who was the actual shooter. But Barbara, let's be certain that our shooters understand the factual history of what has happened. And why it is that we believe it's appropriate that Jackie Johnson has been indicted in this standing trial. Because, Barbara, as you know, Jackie Johnson was the prosecutor at the time that Ahmaud Arbery was killed. But could you share with our audience what subsequently happens that justifies what we believe the prosecution of Jackie Johnson today?
Yes. Yes. I mean, the sad thing is, these men they hunted down Ahmaud for 5 minutes, and he was just trying to get away. He wasn't talking back to them. He wasn't saying he had done nothing. He was just jogging, and they hunted him down. And Roddy Bryant, he would just jump in there because he saw his other white guys hunting this black man, so he decides he's going to hunt too. And then they cornered him with their cars, and they cornered him. And then, Travis gets out with the shotgun and threatens him. And sadly, Ahmaud tries to defend himself to the best he can, but he's still shot by a 12-gauge shotgun. 3 shots. And what people don't understand is that after all that was over, the police had to come to the scene. And Greg McMichael, the father of Travis, who was part of the hunt, who used to work for Jackie Johnson as an investigator, gets on the phone and immediately calls Jackie Johnson and says, I need your help. And she directs the police to, not arrest Greg. They don't even arrest Travis. They do take him down to the courthouse, to the, police house station. But they never, and the third person, Roddy Bryant, they let him go home. And in fact, it is alleged that she told Greg to go home and take a shower. Yeah, get the blood off of him, knowing that that was essential to the investigation. And then after all this happens, people, with this blood in the street and this young man go, she basically, they don't